Hi folks, this is Bob Piorun, and this is my show Musically Speaking, where I'm documenting the music in Central New York, especially around the Auburn area, the venues, the musicians, and such, all musical. Today I have a wonderful guest, a young guy by the name of Luke Mock. And it just occurs to me that my last three guests have all been young people. And in the time of COVID, this is interesting because they are all pursuing musical careers in a time where it's really tough as a musician. So, Luke, tell us a bit about yourself. First of all, you were born in Auburn.
I wasn't born in Auburn.
Oh,
actually.
you weren't? Okay,
No.
good. So I didn't know that.
I was actually born in Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh,
where the witches
came from. Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
I'm dangerous. Careful.
Now, how long ago? When did you move here then?
I pretty much lived in Auburn my whole life. I came here when I was like 1.
Oh, okay. So essentially, you spent your whole life.
So I
there.
grew up in Auburn.
Right. So you went to Auburn High and so on. So the first thing I would ask you is, what were your first influences musically? What was the first things you heard that turned you on to music?
Sure. What really kind of started my journey as a musician in general was just I loved to sing all the time. I was that kid that would make up songs and run around the house and be really annoying. And just be screaming all the time. I think the first time I really started listening to music and I had to sing it for an event, it was some Michael Jackson for a Harriet Tubman production here in Auburn. I think it was 4th or 5th grade with Casey Park, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, okay. So who are people that influence you as a singer-songwriter or even musician? Who are some people that you like?
Sure. A lot of influences. I wouldn't bear it down to one specific. A lot of pop music, because I am a pop artist. I love Charlie Puth. I love Shawn Mendes. I love listening to Billie Eilish and Dua Lipa. It really kind of just depends on my mood, but a lot of it is pretty poppy.
You're also in a John Mayer band, so
I am. Yes. I like to think that some of my singer-songwriter acoustic-esque from writing and a lot of things like that.
Right, he's a great influence. I have to say, as an older musician that's into jazz and classical music, I think John Mayer is probably one of the greatest young. It's interesting how he started more of an acoustic singer-songwriter, and then he evolved into this bluesy Hendrix, Steve Ray Vaughan influence. He kind of changed his whole direction, but I think he's a great musician. You can't do far wrong by emulating what he does. So as far as some of your songs, this is the universal question people ask when you write songs. How do you come up with your songs? What inspires you to...
that's a great question. Usually it's a ton of different ways.
Right.
When I was starting, it would always be me and my acoustic guitar and my little notebook.
Right.
Now, I have a little bit of a background with music production, and I have it a little more scheduled out. I have days and times where I get on Zoom and collaborate with people consistently, and that can start with a guitar riff. It can start with an instrumental that one of us might have been working on.
Right.
It could start with literally any thought that we've had. I put everything in my notes on my phone, usually. Any thought, and I'll put what I was thinking when I thought it, and that's a perfect way to just reference and start a song from scratch.
Right. That's what, it's interesting when you write songs, people always want to know where they came from. They come from many different sources. I saw one interesting thing that I used at one time is make up a title and then write a song from it. That kind of focuses you on the title, so that often works. So right now, let's actually do one of your songs.
Sure.
Having nothing to lose, I had to pick and choose. I tried to win this war, I had to fight for you. And in the lonely nights, there was nowhere to hide. I knew when I closed my eyes, this is our last goodbye. Ooh, ooh. Although you're in my mind, everything has its time. Ooh, it's all in the design. This is our last goodbye. Yeah. last goodbye, yeah. Last goodbye. I guess I never thought that you could break my heart. Turn me around again, believe things left unsaid. Now when I think of you, I must be bulletproof. Baby, don't ask me why, there's no more tears to cry. Ooh. This love is in decline, we should have seen the signs. Ooh. It's stuck in our design, this is our last goodbye. Last goodbye. Oh, last goodbye. Oh. To desire, trying to light this fire. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Ingrained in our design, this is our last goodbye. Whoa. Last goodbye.
Okay, great, nice song. All right.
Thank you.
Now let me ask you about a little bit of what you would like to do in your future. Right now, you are going to Oneonta studying.
So right now, I'm a music industry major at Oneonta. I'm a senior. I'm also an audio production minor. My main plans are to pursue being an artist. I would love to take what I've learned, and I already have started to do that, but take everything that I've learned and, you know, go off to somewhere like New York or LA or Toronto, you know, kind of just see what I can make happen with while I meet some people that are also trying to do what I want to do.
Now, attempting to play live or just make connections with people to, what would you like to do if you were in New York or Toronto?
I'd love to do it all, really. Everything that pertains to being an artist, you know, writing and recording and playing live shows. You know, eventually I would like to, you know, keep building my audience so I can share my music with them, and I can do a tour, and we can all enjoy songs together. That's kind of my dream.
I think you're very smart being into the technical side of it, because I see the future of music being totally different from when I came up. A lot of it is going to be sharing yourself on the internet and so on. So, I mean, how do you feel you want to put yourself out there? I mean, how are you going to do? You start with Facebook and things like that, and then you get yourself on Spotify. What other things do you see to produce yourself, more or less, to get you in the public eye?
The biggest thing, I mean, it depends on what you mean by public eye. I mean, to really grow the audience and kind of, in a sense, go viral and things like that, is to make consistent videos on TikTok and Instagram. It's a lot of business, a lot of like being very conscious about how you share your art with people. You know, it's an experience, and you want people to experience that with you. So something like TikTok is a very big asset when it comes to kind of putting yourself out there now, because in a second, in 30 seconds, not really 30, but like in 30 minutes, you could have like 1 million or 2 million
all over
views
the world,
on
it's
a
amazing.
video.
But what do you think the potential for making a living at that are, for example?
I think it's a lot different, because as much as musicians love to, we make a living from playing our shows and you know, from our streams, like it all kind of goes, it's all kind of it goes full circle with TikTok and being a influencer. You're not just a musician anymore. You're you are an influencer. You're a content creator. It's more than just the music, and when it comes to that, it's not just the streaming. It's once you have the numbers, it's sponsorships and brand deals and things like that all go into your videos.
Yeah, that's a very smart approach, because it's not one thing. It's not just getting out and having a lot of people like you or do a show, but you're right. I think you're on the right track. And especially the fact that you're into the technical side of it, recording, you can't go wrong, because if you're out of work as a musician, you might take on work as doing some audio work with somebody, or working on a TV show. So you got a lot of outs. I think you're on a right move doing that. So this is a hard question to answer, but the future of music, as I see it, is going to be totally different. And I think, you know, in my day, it was, you know, everything has turned around completely. How do you see media being shared in the future? Is it, as you say, I mean, TikTok and all, what do you think is going to happen with the music industry as far as the artists making money, which is what they want to do?
Right. I mean, in terms of artists making their money, it's still going to go through the labels. A lot of these artists that are on things like TikTok, they have their labels calling them up, like, you need to make videos, because that's what people are relevant. And even if TikTok doesn't last, I think like music in general is pretty much not controlled by TikTok, but there's a clear influence there. Like once a song is doing well on TikTok, that's when you're going to see it on the Billboard Top 10 or something like that. That's when you see it pop up. And it could destroy a song, or it could completely revive it. Some of my favorite artists, that they haven't had a song that's like TikTok popular, so they won't be doing as well as they used to, because TikTok is almost kind of control it. So whether or not TikTok is what stays around, I think the whole idea of like scroll-based media, the video, the way that people can make short videos while implementing sound and different effects and allowing people to be creative in different ways, I don't think that that's going to go away, regardless of if it lasts with TikTok or something else.
I think the essence of all of it in my time and yours is having a good song and having it well done. That's going to always be the thing, something that speaks to people, and that's always going to be the thing to sell a song. However, the media is to present it. That's always going to be the #1 thing. So, I mean, especially, of course, we're filming this in times of COVID, and it's interesting because my last 3 or 4 guests have all been in their 20. You're 20?
I am 20.
20. Yeah, my last guests have all been, interesting enough, people in their 20s pursuing music on different levels. Jimmy Dransak is going to Juilliard. Nick Horenick is down in New York teaching at NYU. And it's interesting that you guys are all younger people with the idea of pursuing music. I definitely would say, from my perspective, I think it was easier in my time. I was able to make my living and support my family, because there was, I mean, I could work every night if I wanted to and teach 100 students if I wanted to. Today it's a little harder, but you're on the right track. I think technology and knowing about how to present yourself, you know, on the internet, you know, so to speak, is get your face out there. You can reach millions of people. I mean, right now you could make a song and it could be a big hit in China. That's amazing to even think of, if he caught on to the right groove or the right words. So the music industry has definitely changed.
I think something that's really interesting when it comes to being an artist now is it's funny, you see, I mean, it's all obviously important to have like quality and really well, if you make good music, that will help you. But it's funny because on TikTok, sometimes you'll have a lot more people respond to something that's funny and a joke. Or and then you bring up on the whole idea that if every video is viral, like there's way more viral videos than there were when I was like in middle school or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
of course, yeah.
But as you know, if everything's viral, then like is anything
Yeah.
viral. So
Right,
it's really tricky because even if you get that big break, like that big viral video where someone uses your song, it's not about that one video. It's like consistency. So I think from artists in the future, it's going to be way more about being very good at being a content creator than it is just about making your music.
Right.
You have to be really able to express yourself in your videos.
There's a point where something's good and then something else has to be better. In a way, it keeps raising the mark of what to achieve because, I mean, you know, people come along, you know, Billie Eilish and say they're totally so different, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They are the ones that seem to break new ground, you know what I mean? Whereas I think somebody like John Mayer, though, on the other hand, he's very traditional in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and actually he's going back to, as I say, in this electric mode, he's going back to Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan. And even in this pop stuff that he did earlier, he was kind of Paul Simon, not necessarily James Taylor, maybe more Paul Simon. So, but I think people need to do more in different things to, I did see some things about the dumbing down of American music. What they were implying is, okay, as a musician, as a teacher, people often say, is a song better because it has more chords? You know what I mean? Think about that. Does that make a song better? Let's take somebody very advanced like Steely Dan, for example. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're very advanced with their chords. But then people come along, what was that big song, Tennessee Whiskey?
Okay.
Do you know that song? It's got 2 chords, and it was a universal hit.
Right.
So it's funny, what do people want to hear? This video I was watching was implying that songs have become so simple that people just want to hear a few chords. They don't want to hear anything more complex. What do you think about that? You think it's easier for them to understand 2 or 3 chords than to hear?
I think that there's a lot that goes into like what people like when it comes to chords. I think it's not as much about the chords as it is about the production now, the different types of sounds that people use when they produce and like the way that things are mixed. It's not as much about the chords that are playing in the background. It's the melodies.
The textures. Right, I know what you mean. Right, some of the new sounds, synthetic sounds that they add in the drum sounds that are totally unique. You're right that people are changing their mode of what they like, so to speak. You know?
I think it's really, really about the vocal melody, and you know, there's usually some other melody that might be happening on a different instrument that isn't as prominent as like strumming the chords on the guitar, but it follows those chords, and it's repetitive, and there's a lot of like psychology around like what is like too complicated of a melody and versus what isn't. Like, if something's too complicated, no one's going to remember it, and they're not going to like want to listen. Like, they're not going to have the song stuck in their head. They're not going to want to come back. So, as a pop artist, that is generally what happens. You pick those 4 chords. It's almost like a formula and a structure. I don't necessarily think that it takes away. I mean, certain songs, I think it's about the dynamics. A lot of these songs, even with the 4 chords, the 2 chords, you'll see a point where there's a like really small part and then it gets really big at the end, or vice versa.
Right, just captures people's attention. What I was trying to think of a minute ago is Stevie Wonder. I mean, he's still big today. He's a pretty complex player. I mean, he's almost jazz-like in his chords, yet he's remained universally important. I don't know, people your age listen to him, but I think there's something about him, and yet he's very complex in his chords, in his songs, because I think what grabs people about him, there's something so real about his presentation of a song, you know what I mean? So he was the one I was trying to think of, this, like Steely Dan, somebody that's more complex. But yeah, a good song is a good song, and that's probably going to be into the future forever.
Definitely.
A good song is a good song, and if it reaches enough people and they feel it. So before we end the show, we're actually going to have you do a few more of your songs. And would you like to speak about your new enterprise? You're going to...
Sure, absolutely. So I've got a song coming out on January 28th. It's called Last Goodbye. We played it for you a few minutes ago. I've got a few other songs to play for you guys. One of them is my debut single, Universe. My second single, Better, and my third single, Feel the Love. And you can listen to them anywhere You just search Luke Mock. I'm on any streaming platform, or you can go to my website at lukemock.com for any additional information. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, why don't we do your song Universe, and I'll try to follow along with that, and then after
Sure.
that, we can have you do some of your other tunes. Before I leave today, I'd like to, as usual, thank James Reichert, who without him, we could not do this. And I put a shout out to my friends at Mitchell's Western Store out on Potter Road for things like this. And so we're going to leave. Leave obviously with a few songs. I'd like to thank Luke Mock, a great Auburnian singer-songwriter, who I'm sure you're going to hear a lot from in the future. So here's one of his songs called Universe in the key of A minor, if you want to tap your foot along.
Out here in the dark, where our love's a shining star that explodes and falls apart. 'Cause you had a change of heart, you pushed me out, we lost our spark, we come back in, where do we start? Round and round we go, out here time moves slow, hope I'm not drifting alone. Caught up in the throes, shadows come and go. Baby, I want you to know, you're the center of my universe. She said, oh, me, but I had you first. Put me in and now I can't escape. So why is she invading our bright space? Yeah. No, no. Gravity still pulls me in every time I touch your skin. Feel the weight from within as my strings are getting thin. In this tug of war, I can't pull no more. Pain is dragging down my soul. Gone on for too long. We were once so strong, begging you not to go. No, you're the center of my universe. She said, oh, me, but I had you first. Put me in and now I can't escape. So why is she invading our space? Whoa, yeah, yeah. Oh, please don't go, please don't go, shattering my soul. No, please don't go, please don't go, shattering my soul. Please don't go, please don't go, shattering my soul. No, you're the center of my universe. She said, I'm in, but I had you first. Put me in and now I can't escape. So why is she invading our space? My universe. She said, I'm in, but I had you first. Now I can't escape. So why is she invading our space?